This tool is called the Experiment Design Tool. It helps learners plan scientific experiments and record the results observed. It stimulates learners to use the VOTAT strategy, which stands for Vary One Thing at a Time. Here the Experimental Design Tool is included in an ILS. On the left side of the tool you see two columns with properties and measures. These relate to the lab you are using to execute your experiment. In this case, they relate to the fishbowl population genetics lab. In this biology lab, you can investigate the effect of several variables on the population of white, red, and pink guppies. The properties and measures in the experimental design tool match the variables and measures used in the lab. They are specified by the maker of the ILS. Properties can either be varied or kept constant. Measures are the things you measure or observe. They determine the outcome of your experiment. In this case, I want to investigate these two hypotheses. I want to find out how population size and the color of guppies is influenced by brood size. Some instructions how to proceed can be found here. As you can see, we are told to select and drag all properties to vary or to keep constant, and select and drag at least one variable you want to measure. Because I want to investigate the influence of brood size, I will drag this property to vary. This indicates that I will vary the brood size in each experimental trial. There are two more properties which I can use. To make sure I only investigate the influence of brood size, I decide to keep these constant, so I drag them to keep constant. I decide I will first investigate the hypothesis about the color of guppies, so I drag the measure most frequent color to measure. I now have to specify values for each property. I will start with brood size. By clicking this symbol, a slider will appear and I can choose a value. I can do the same thing for mutation rate. I click this symbol, use the slider to choose a value, and click OK. To enter a value for mortality, I have to fill in a number using my keyboard. If I enter a value which is too high or too low, I get a warning. Whether I use an input field or a slider like we did for brood size and mutation rate is determined by the maker of an ILS. With the plus icon here, you can add a new experimental trial. I will add 3 more trials. Since I chose to vary the brood size, I have to specify a different value for brood size for each specific trial. I chose to keep the mortality and mutation rate constant, so I only have to specify a value for these once, which will be the same in each trial. The next step is to execute my plan in the lab. Go to the lab and enter the values you have specified. Your results can be noted down in the column Measures. In this case, I observe which color of guppies is most frequent in the population: red, white or pink. I can note them down for each trial by clicking this symbol and choosing one of the 3 colors. Once I have specified my measure, I have completed that experimental trial, so I can no longer change its values. I can delete my design by pressing the circle. My plan will disappear, but I can still find my experiment and the results if I click the table icon here. This tool can be configured by the maker of an ILS. For more information, please see the video about the configuration of the experimental design tool.